5 years of waiting to get advice isn't a delay, it's a number. And once you actually calculate it, most people are surprised by how large it is. Here's why waiting feels harmless when it isn't. Nothing dramatic happens in the year you put it off. No alarms goes off, no balance drops overnight. So it's easy to tell yourself there's no real cost to waiting a little longer. This is general in nature, so it's important to consider your own situation, because the actual figures will differ for everyone, but the pattern itself shows up almost every time. The reason that waiting feels free is that the cost doesn't show up as a single moment. It shows up as growth that never happened. And missing growth is much harder to notice than losing money outright. Nothing was ever taken from you, it just never arrived. That's why 5 years of delay is so easy to underestimate. There's no single event to point to, just 5 years where money that should have been growing wasn't. So let's actually put a number on it. If someone has the capacity to put an extra amount into super each year, say through additional concessional contributions, and they wait 5 years to start, they haven't just delayed 5 years of contributions, they've delayed 5 years of those contributions growing and compounding on top of each other. Compounding rewards time in the market, not timing the market. And 5 years is a meaningful chunk of the working life most people have left to let that compounding actually work. It's not just the contributions you missed, it's the growth on those contributions you'll never get back. To make this concrete, imagine someone in their early 50s who has the capacity to contribute an extra $10,000 a year into super through additional concessional contributions. If they start that this year, that $10,000 has somewhere between 10 and 15 years to sit inside super and grow before they actually need to draw on it. If they wait 5 years to start, the same contribution, same strategy, that money now only has 5 to 10 years to do the same job. The contribution itself didn't change, the time it has to compound did. And that's the part that's easy to miss. It's not just 5 years of contributions sitting unused, it's those 5 years worth of contributions, plus everyone that came after, all losing 5 years of compounding they'll never get back. And this isn't only about super contributions. The same principle applies to structuring investments efficiently, to making sure your mix actually matches your stages of life, to catching mistakes before they've had years to compound instead of months. Every year of delay is a year those things keep running exactly as they were, for better or worse. So why does the delay happen in the first place? It's almost never a decision. It's rarely, I've decided not to get advice. It's, I'll sort this out properly once things settle down. Once the new job's bedded in, once the kids are off to school, once the renovation's finished. And those reasons are genuine. Life is genuinely busy. But here's what that actually looks like in practice. Someone tells themselves they'll sort their super out properly once the renovation's finished. The renovation takes 18 months instead of 6. By the time it's done, their daughter's started high school, and things are hectic again. Then there's a promotion, a new role to settle into, then a parent needs some support. None of these are excuses, they're real, but every one of them is also a reason the original plan, sorted out once things calm down, quietly slips by another year. But once things settle down, rarely arrives on its own. There's almost always something, and 5 years later the delay that felt temporary has become the actual plan by default. You don't need the perfect plan to start, you need to start and refine it as you go. The version of advice that costs you nothing is the version you keep delaying. The version that actually moves the needle is the one that starts, even if it's not perfect yet. A plan that's 70% right and running for 5 years will almost always outperform a perfect plan that didn't start until year 5. But if you've been putting this off because it doesn't feel urgent yet, that feeling is exactly what makes it expensive. If you'd like to actually put a number on what waiting is costing you, I work with Australians in exactly that position. You can find details below.